What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we're taking a closer look at this HD front bumper fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators. Now a heavy duty front bumper is important whether you're going off-road once a year or every other day because it has the benefits of recovery, utility, and protection for the front end of your rig. Now even if you don't ever touch the dirt with your JL, it's going to offer you a more rugged appearance to the front of the truck, and this front bumper here will do exactly that at an affordable price point. Now this front bumper will have multiple different features that will benefit you in really any scenario that you come across. Now starting off with the overall shape, this is going to be compact and provide you a ton of clearance with the angled up ends, yet still offers great mid-width protection, especially with this overrider hoop for the grille. Now the bumper will also include welded D-ring mounts and included D-rings, which will give you 2 solid recovery points in the front if you do get yourself into a sticky situation. Now same goes for the drop winch plate in the center. This is going to be capable of holding a winch with up to a 12,000 pound pulling capacity, so this is going to have plenty of options when it comes time to pair this with a winch. Now this will also have provisions for your OE fog lights, so you don't have to sacrifice your lighting in the swap, while also allowing you to mount up lighting to the top of the bull bar here, which is going to give you some customization options and keeping your visibility just as effective, if not more. Now the build here will be just as robust as that list of features, with a 5/32 inch steel plate construction being thick enough to take a hit and protect the Jeep just in case. Now on top, this steel is going to have a 2-stage powder coat finish, which will offer a toughened look, but also resist rusting on the steel underneath. Now with that, this bumper will bolt up just fine, so you don't have to worry about any modification or drilling when it comes to install, and we'll show you how to do that in just a sec. Now this will come in at roughly $400, which is very affordable compared to other options available on the page. Now while this does come with a lot of features to benefit your rig, this isn't going to be the most extravagant front bumper, but I think that works incredibly well in this bumper's favor. Now this is going to look tough, offer everything that you would possibly need out on the trail, allow you to customize it to your personal preference, all while not breaking the bank at the same time. Installing this is going to be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and should only take you about 2 hours to get the job done. Now speaking of the install, one of our customers here has actually put this on their JT and is going to walk you through what that process looks like step by step. So that is going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
All right, the tools needed to install and remove the bumper off a 2023 Gladiator Mojave Edition will be an 18mm socket for the bumper removal bolts. You'll need a 19mm socket for installing the new Barricade Adventure bumper. You'll need a 13mm socket to remove some of the hardware and the skid plate from the bumper and from the Gladiator. 7mm socket will be used to remove some screws. Simply a screwdriver to remove the little push clips, or if you have a trim removal tool. To speed things up, if you do have an impact or screwdriver, that'll speed things along. There is a included Allen head wrench, but if you have a 2.5 bit, you can use that, which will even speed things up a little more. I did use a 9/32 ignition wrench, and I used that up underneath the fog lights when I was installing them, just due to the lack of room. So anyway, good luck, pretty easy tools, and really the only thing that I needed help with was putting the new bumper on. You really have to have 2 people to do it. It helps guide the little, what they call bolt nut plates with the new bumper. When you're lifting that bumper on, you have to kind of align them, and you can't do all 4. You need 2 people. I'm going to be installing a Barricade Adventure HD bumper on a 2023 Jeep Gladiator Mojave Edition. First step is to remove the bumper filler. There's a total of 8 clips, 6 along the back, 2 along the bottom. You'll notice them here. Simply take either a trim removing tool or a regular screwdriver, pull out the pin, and the whole clip will remove. So it's simply you're picking up on the clip and then you pull it out. And you'll go along and pull all 6. And then 2 along the front. And then this bumper filler we'll remove. Once we remove the bumper filler, you can go in and disconnect the front fog lights. The connector has simply a push here and pull. Now the front fog lights are disconnected and will stay with the bumper. The next step, on the Mojave, we have a skid plate. There are 4 13mm bolts that we'll remove on the bottom of the skid plate. Now with the skid plate removed and the bumper filler off, the fog lights disconnected, there are 8 18mm nuts that need to be removed, connecting the bumper to the frame. There are 2 here on the outside. There'll be 2 on the inside of both sides. Probably you'll have to use a socket wrench on the inside, but an impact usually will fit the outside. Now up under the bumper on the inside, you'll have 2 remaining on the right and 2 remaining on the left. The bottom 2 I left unscrewed with a few threads just to hold the bumper so it doesn't fall while removing the other 6. These, normally you may have to use a ratchet. The lower I was able to get off with the impact, and the 2 upper ones I'll remove using an 18mm ratchet. And with the ratchet, I'm removing the 2 upper inside nuts. Okay. On the upper left, we'll do the same. All right, now with all 8 nuts taken off the bumper mount, the 2 that I have threaded a few threads, I'll take off. And the bumper will be ready to remove. Just gently pull forward, and the bumper's off. All right, now with the factory bumper off, we're gonna remove the factory fog lights so that I can put them in the new bumper. The outer protective housing comes off removing the 6 similar push clips. Again, just pick up, and these will simply pop out. There'll be 6 on this side, 6 on the other, and then we'll have access to getting to the fog lights. Then after you remove all 6 clips, you can remove the shield, and we have the fog light. The fog light's removed using a 7mm. There'll be 4 screws. The factory LED fog lights. You can remove the clip, and these will be reinstalled in the new Adventure bumper. Okay, now the second side out. Again, using a 7mm, we can remove the second factory. And again, this little push clip here, and remove the fog light. The next step, we're gonna actually remove the inner bumper, and there are 8 15mm nuts that need to be removed so that we can remove the inner bumper and take the wiring harness out, because we'll save the wiring harness for the new bumper. Now I'm removing the inner bumper using a 15mm, and there will be 8 of these nuts. Okay, the inner bumper is ready to take out. We'll need to remove the right and the left clip. You can either cut these off or use your trim tool to pop them off. Getting under there and just lifting. And then this inner bumper will pull out. And now you'll be able to thread through your wiring harness to reuse. All right, it looks like for us to get this wiring harness removed that we're gonna need to rewire the fog lights on the new bumper, there's gonna be a total, these are 7mm, there's 14 along the outer perimeter, and then there's another 8 across the top. When we remove these screws, we should be able to remove the inner plastic so that I can unthread the wiring harness out of the bumper. It appears that there's 2 more on the outer, so we're gonna have a total of 16 around the perimeter and 8 of these across the top. All right, now, found a couple of more hidden ones, so there's a total of 20 and 8 across the top. We can remove the inner from the outer plastic, and now we'll have access to removing the factory wiring harness. I just simply cut the tabs and we'll pull the harness out. Use a trim removing tool, or in my case, I'm just using a pair of cutters and clipping them. Now that should have your wiring harness ready to hook up your fog lights. All right, so that's pretty much for the disassembly of the bumper. I'm gonna go ahead and put mine back together just so I can give it away on eBay. I'm so glad I chose to go with a new bumper. I think a pipe hand has thicker metal in it. I got a feeling I'd bump this bumper running into my wife's azaleas. And a matter of fact, one toe hook probably weighs more than the whole rest of the bumper. All right, now we're gonna assemble the new bumper. The one reason I got this bumper was I wanted to reinstall the factory LED lights. So the kit comes with 2 brackets, and you'll see here, these will lay in here, and the kit included the screws, washers, lock washer, flat washer. These 2 brackets, you're gonna put one here, one on the other side, and then the fog light will go in, and there is an upper and a lower side, so make sure that either the cooling fins and or the writing faces the top. And then these 4 M4 screws and nuts will attach here, but first we need to get this bracket in. So prior, what I did is I made sure that the threading was correct and all 4 sides are ready to go. The screws went in good, and I was pleased to see that. Some of the reviews on the website for other bumpers said that people were cross-threading screws or the screws wouldn't fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this next. I'm gonna leave the screws in fairly loose so that I can adjust to later put this in, and then I'll tighten them up. So I got the bracket loosely in place. I'm using a 2.5 millimeter Allen head bit, but the kit did include an Allen head wrench. I just figured these would be a little quicker. And I'm gonna again put them in fairly loosely so that I can still maneuver the bracket and guide the light in. So now we'll set that there, and I'll grab the 4 M4 screws. There's gonna be a flat washer, a lock washer, along with a 9/32 nut that'll go on the back side. All right, so now I got the bracket loosely in place. I'm putting the M4 screws along with the flat washer, the lock washer first, flat washer. Now, you'll notice the holes are tight. That's why I kept the bottom bracket loose. If needed, you can take a screwdriver and a line to get that 4th and last one in. Once those are in, what I found the hardest part are these little 9/32 nuts. I use an ignition wrench up in here to hold them. With my fat fingers, it was hard. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these, but that was probably the toughest part. We're just getting these to catch. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and install the LED fog lights. I found after messing around with the other side, it was easier to start due to the fact that it's so tight, the tolerances, you can't get your fingers in here to hold the nut. So I suggest on the lower outside, thread your M4 screw with a flat washer through the bottom first. And then again, these have a top and a bottom, so make sure that you're facing them correctly. The cooling fins to the top, or the writing on the housing will be to the top. And then if you can put this one in first, and then add a flat washer. I added a flat washer to the inside as well, along with your lock washer. Then add your nut. This will hold it in place. Now what I'll do is I'm gonna use a 9/32 socket on the outside. The other side I tried putting the screws in this way, but it was almost impossible to try to hold the nuts with a 9/32 wrench under here, so it worked a lot easier. If you need, you can use the factory Allen head at the bottom, but I found if I just held it, it self-tightened fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish installing the other 3. We have 3 of the 4. Again, I'm just bringing the screw up from the bottom. Then I'll apply a flat washer, a lock washer, throw on the nut, and now we're ready to tighten. Again, make sure that you have your LED lights positioned so that the cooling fins are facing the top. All right, with them again loose, I'm just gonna tighten them all. Again, a 9/32 socket. And these are tightening pretty good without the use of that Allen head. Those lock washers are doing a fine job. It definitely worked easier bringing these screws in through the bottom. Good, and then with all 4 tightened, I'm going to tighten the bracket that came with the kit that we kept loose right here. And again, this will be either with the attached Allen head wrench or a 2.5 millimeter Allen bit, which I used. Voila, lights are installed. I'm gonna wait and install the wiring harness after I put the bumper on the truck. All right, now we're gonna install the nut bolt plates. These go on the inside of the bumper. The bolt will come out the top. Now what I did to help is I put two-sided tape so that it will hold these in place a little better. These are meant to move a little bit, and that two-sided tape will at least keep them in there so they don't fall out while I get help installing the bumper. So I'm gonna put the 4 of these on, then I'm gonna have somebody help me get the bumper lifted, and we'll start by screwing the nut on the first to hold it in place, and then we'll do the remainder of the bolts and nuts. All right, after several attempts of trying to mount the bumper using this bolt nut combination, these would continually fall out. So I tried using two-sided tape. It didn't work. I tried using these, and they would also push out as we were trying to get these to the mount. What I found are these little zip ties. So I'm gonna put the zip ties in. This will allow enough freedom for us to move these, but that will prevent them from falling in. There'll be plenty of pressure by the time I torque these down, that'll just disappear. So let me finish the zip ties. I'll get some help and we'll mount the bumper. And again, these are meant to slide around as we up here on the Jeep need to get those 2 bolts through the upper holes, and then we'll get the lower ones aligned and put the bolts through the bottom. All right, so now I have the zip ties on all 4 of the nut bolt combination. You'll see how they can slide, but it will prevent them from pushing through when we get this raised. And let's see if this little technique works a little better than what we had before. All right, this was the trickiest part. Definitely a 2-person job. Definitely the zip tie trick worked phenomenal. I tried two-sided tape. I tried the little plastic holders they gave, but hey, if you have little zip ties, zip them on. 2 people, you just have to go in there with your finger and get the bolts aligned. All I did was do finger tight with the nuts. All 4 nuts are on. Now I'll go in, put the lock washer, the flat washer on, lock washer, the nut. Before tightening up the upper, I'm gonna have to go down there with a screwdriver and align the nuts that are on the nut bolt tab and get the 4 final bolts. Then we'll get the leveling done and be good to go. Alrighty, so I went ahead and the zip tie method worked fantastic. So what I did is I put in all of the upper. I went to try to do the lower bolts. Unfortunately, the lower bolts with the flat washer and the lock washer made it almost impossible to try to catch that nut on the inside. My recommendation to the manufacturer maybe is add a 1/2 inch to these and it would have worked fine. So the method I used is I left the washers off. I installed all of the lower so that it would keep the nut in alignment. I went ahead and I tightened all of the top ones using a 19mm socket. Outside I could do with the impact, inside I had to do by hand. So what I've done now is I'm going along the bottom. I pulled out the bolts, and if you see here, now they're aligned. I can put the lock and the flat washer in and catch that nut, whereas before I couldn't do it. And I can get in there with my impact and tighten it. Voila. And the last one on this side, I'll do the same thing. And then the bumper's in. I also, before installing it, lined it up to the frame on both sides. I measured both and it came out at about 15 1/4 on each one. And so now I'm centered. Prior to putting the bumper on, I measured to the top of the frame on both, knowing my garage had a slope to it. I was 1/8 of an inch low on this side, so I kept it 1/8 of an inch low prior to tightening them up. So one more bolt, the bumper's on, and we'll get to wiring next. All right, so now I'm getting ready to install the old wiring harness. prior to doing that, we need to cut these clips. I just take a pair of lineman pliers and go in there, cut these clips off because they will not be needed. Instead, I'll do zip ties. And you can just go through, cut them all off. And then once they're all cut, what I'm gonna do is I'll feed it up and we'll get the camera at a different angle. And I found a pretty neat little pathway that we can thread this through, and the factory wiring harness is plenty long enough to allow you to really tuck it up underneath here good. So let me get the rest of the clips cut off and I'll show you underneath. Install the factory harness, putting it right back where it was. Plug this in. Then we'll feed the wiring harness through the frame, and then connecting back over to this side, reconnect it on this side. Now with the extra wiring, I'm just gonna simply take a zip tie and I'll tuck it up underneath the frame and get all the mounting points underneath here, and the harness should be good to go. The working factory fog lights, LED, and I'll take and zip tie up the rest of the wiring harness, and the install's complete. All right, so now we got the bumper back on. I tightened up the wiring harness, got it working, and last thing we'll do is put the factory skid plate back on. Putting the factory skid back on using the same 13mm socket. And again, I think the big reason I liked this bumper was the fact that it supported my LED headlights or fog lights and my factory skid plate.
So that's going to wrap it up for my review and the install of this HD front bumper fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators. And remember, for all things Gladiator, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.